Uh, let's see here. I don't know if we're live yet. Let's see. Looks like. Let's see. Trying something a little different here. Back a little bit from the camera. Can everybody hear me? Everybody that's connected, let me know in the comments if you can hear me. Sounds good. No problems. 10 out of 10. Yep. What's up, Willie? James! James. All right. So, good morning to everyone. There's about 24 of you on here so far. Thank you. Now, I am using my old Samsung Galaxy S6, so it's going to have limited battery life. So at some point, the stream's probably just going to die here this morning. So we'll just keep rolling along as long as we can. So everybody who's tuning in, good morning. This is the first weekend, the first full weekend, the first weekend of October, the 6th and the 7th. And in the area that I'm in right now, there's a lot of haunted houses that are open every Friday and Saturday until Halloween. So I'm wanting to go check some of that stuff out. Hope everybody is everybody's having a great week. Hope everybody is doing well. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and let's open some Q&A. I see Microcom is on there. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. So James and I are working on our professional relationship, trying to figure out what that's going to look like. I think James is going to join me on site if we get a job that I bid. It's a 190 handset Grand Stream phone system. There'll be two UCM 6510s on the head end with an HA100 for high availability. And the customer has a PRI for the phone lines, and then they've got 5 remote buildings. Everything will feed back in. They've got a bunch of analog devices. So we quoted all kinds of hardware and everything like that. But if we get that, James will be joining me on site for that, which is exciting. What else? Quoted phone system. I think I might have talked about it last week, but worked on quoting a system for a large dog food company. Haven't heard back 100% on that yet, but I'm hoping to hear back on that. Jim, I will know in November about the hotel bid. My understanding is we are the place that's going to get it. They're moving funding around to make funding available for the project. After we sat down and we talked about, having an in-wall access point in each room, they understood how we could actually make the internet, the guest internet there, top notch, better than probably anything that's in the area, and so they were all on board for that. Morning, David. What else? So did get worked earlier in the year with another company, and I really like supporting. I like supporting everyone who contracts with me, but some of or some of the more fun things that we get into is when somebody calls us and we don't know anything about the site, and so then we get to do some discovery, and then we get to build networks and all that. And so we got a big so James is actually so Monty is got one job he's finishing up for me. Monty and I will have to go on site, finish this one job, but then James is starting to do a lot of boots on the ground stuff for me in Southern Illinois. So we've got a church that he's working on putting a unified camera system in. Okay, so watching Doctor Who, are we? So I will tell you that I like Doctor Who. I haven't watched the current season, but who was the other Doctor? The older guy in the last one. I can't remember his name. Peter something, I think. Yeah. Anyway, I was watching Doctor Who and I was digging it, and then he comes out in this episode and he's got a guitar and he's shredding and he's on this tank, and I turned it off and I haven't watched it since. It Even for Doctor Who, that was a little bit of a stretch. So, let's see. Thoughts on Wi-Fi 6 and UBNT mesh replacement schedule. Oliver, you're going to have to give me a little bit more information about that, the mesh replacement schedule. Are you talking about something that I'm doing, or I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but as far as Wi-Fi 6, so I do think it's good. You know, the further we get into technology and stuff like that, I do think sometimes keeping it a little simpler makes it easier. So I'm not against the new names. You know, we got Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5, and Wi-Fi 6, right? So if you go back to 802.11n, that is what it's going to be called, Wi-Fi 4 now. If you go to 802.11ac, that's going to be Wi-Fi 5. 802.11ax, which is the new stuff, that is Wi-Fi 6. There's some draft gear out there. I haven't touched any of it yet, but it's supposed to be completely released next year. So we'll see how that goes. I'm indifferent on the name because I'm probably going to look at white papers and stuff, and unless they change it, I don't know, are they changing it so that we're not going to see the standards? Is the standard actually going to be Wi-Fi 6, or is Wi-Fi 6, 5, and 4, are those just pseudonyms that are going on top of the actual standards? That part I don't know. Let's see. Hi, Singapore. And yes, I will be sharing the setup. Oh, the other thing that I was talking about, I'm working with another company, and we got, there's a big marina and RV and campsite, and we got that bid, and so there are going to be videos on that. I have gotten some limited permission, to create some videos on the setup of that. So that's going to be awesome. Look for that. Let's see here. I'm going to start reading some comments here. So Gary says, I've found the quality of the new UVC G3 Flex cameras to be better than the G3 domes and bullets for almost half the price. Any thoughts? Well, this little guy can't be exposed. Well, and the dome can't be exposed completely to the weather either, but the bullets can be stuck out in the weather, and I've got some of those that have been stuck out literally in the middle of nowhere on telephone poles. But I'm, I don't know. Yeah, the Ubiquiti camera line, if this is what you want, that's awesome. You just have to understand what you're buying. When you get invested in the Ubiquiti camera line, you are completely locked into this ecosystem. It's not like Route Switch where they're following, the custom or the standards, for the whole world. For this, if you want to capture this device on any other software platform besides Ubiquiti, you can only capture an RTSP stream because they don't support OMVIF. They also do not do recording at the edge, and we have a very limited set of user permissions. So the camera market is vast, just like anything else in technology. And so we don't always quote Ubiquiti. If somebody says we really want Ubiquiti, I have a customer right now, they got to get a quote together for, and he wants the Unify stuff, and so he understands everything that I've said, but he wants to do it. He's going to buy one of the new Cloud Key 2 Pluses, I think, and we're going to use that. So let's see here. So yeah, if they're for you, that's great, but your mileage may vary. Oh, I see what you're saying, Oliver. Do I know when Ubiquiti is going to release anything for Wi-Fi 6? That I don't know, and even if I did, I couldn't tell you at this point because it would probably be something that would be like covered by an NDA. So I don't know. Go out to the Ubiquiti community and fire off a question on the forum and see what they say. All right, what else we got here? Good morning, House of Ancients. Thoughts on Unify Protect not being available on your own server? So I haven't specifically been reading. I did see that they sent out a mass mailing, some marketing propaganda saying that it was available. I didn't know that it wasn't going to be available on your own server because I thought that the packages were available for download, but I haven't actually installed Protect yet. Is that not right, Stuart? Let us know here. Hey, Canada! Where can we find more information about configuring multiple UAP AC Pros? Looking to understand what all the settings are about and how to best set the channels for multiple AP installs. So if you're looking for consulting, you can go over to h5llc.com, fill out that contact form, and I'll get in touch with you. So this is something that I normally spend hours with a client talking to them about Wi-Fi design, channel design, power output, all this. I mean, I could create a series of videos. We could have hours and hours and hours of videos about that, and that might be something that I should do, like maybe like a half hour to an hour video on. And then there's still going to be even more questions. So if you have an immediate need, get a hold of me outside of this. Go over to h5llc.com. Let me know. And you know what? That may make a good patron only video because I could cut that up, make it hours long, and then my patrons could go out and see that. That's a good idea. Ron's asking about the Reolink Garage project. So I have a ton of B-roll. I actually thought about streaming live from the garage today to kind of show that. So I've got some footage. I'm not happy with the way the video is coming together, and so I've just got to get it edited where I'm going to be happy with the product when I put it out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the current state, talk about where it's going. We're going to do some firmware upgrades and talk about some of the settings, talk about why the wireless wire, which I think is a great product, but why it's up here on the shelf. So that is coming, and I do apologize. I wasn't happy with the video that I had and the way that it was coming together. But I think the Reolink is okay. It's funny because in the Peoria area, a lot of cabling work that gets done is a lot of union contractors, low voltage contractors, and they get that work. I work with an electrician. Just so happens that I met him. He lives around here. And he called me the other day and he's like, hey, I'm installing these Reolink cameras. And he, from an electrician, from a non-IT person, he liked them because they had the Ethernet port, they had the barrel connector, and they had all that. And then the company that's installing them, they liked them from a price point, plus they're own VIF compatible. They'll work with any NVR. So I kind of do like it, but I just got to get everything finished, and it's me dragging my feet, and I wholly apologize for that. I'm not, for some reason I can't. I've got this mental block, and I just can't get past it to where I'm like happy releasing the video. So when you're on YouTube, you got to have thick skin because people pick you apart for absolutely everything. And so like my garage is not like, if you watch some like other YouTubers and you're in their workshop and all this, and their garage, they got these awesome like $500,000 setups. Mine is not like that, right? So yeah, I've got a dirt floor in my workshop. I don't care. I'm not going to put concrete. I like it. I like the old rustic. I like it. And maybe I don't want people picking it apart. I don't know. But I got to get past that, and I got to get that video out. So I thank you. I've spent way too much time talking about that. But let's see here. Just started to deploy Ubiquity networks to some of my customers, but I'm having trouble bidding jobs. Could you tell me how you bid a job? Do you charge a flat fee, hourly, or drop? So that all depends on the area and what the customer wants. So like this marina gig that I got, it is a flat fee, not to exceed, and it includes all the design, all the configuration, all the labeling. And so whether I finish it in 4 hours or 30 hours, I'm making the same. Now, obviously, I've bid this so that I'm not working for $5 an hour, right? So you just got to kind of look at that. Miguel, reach out to me at my email address, and we can start a conversation about that, or maybe we'll have a live stream. Maybe we'll plan a live stream where we talk about nothing about bidding projects. That might be something too. Sean, can you tell us what you're talking about where they say no plans currently? Is that the USG HD? Stuart, you're the one who pinged me on Twitter. I'm kind of indifferent at this point. I think it's a mistake to kill the UVC G3 line or to stall it out. I also think that they're making a mistake by thinking that they're going to change the entire market And what they're going to have is and I'm not saying that it can't happen, but what I'm saying is that there are some major companies, and security is a whole different breed of it's a whole different sector that, I mean, there are entrenched players. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of grease in the wheels. And I just don't think that what Ubiquiti is going to have is they're going to have their brand loyal people are the people who are going to be buying them, and that's about where it's going to be at. I think that there are visionaries over there, and I like to think outside of the box, and we need leaders like Elon Musk and stuff like that. This product, I don't think, is there. I don't think that the UVC, I just don't think it's there, and I don't think it's got enough features. I don't think it's got enough, that Ubiquiti has enough actual support to turn the tide as far as security cameras go. I just don't think it's going to happen. And you know, I'm a huge Ubiquiti cheerleader. Ubiquiti. I'm a huge Ubiquiti cheerleader. I believe in them, and I want them to succeed, and I want you to succeed. But the UVC, you know, it's just I won't deploy the phones. I have the phones here. I won't deploy them. I won't sell them. That's another product that needs work. It needs revamp. So let's see. Have you used Papertrail for cloud logging on any of your servers? Yes, I have used Papertrail. I have a client who we were trying to find some problems, and so we used Papertrail, the free tier, and it's slick. It's slick. You know, if you want to stick your logs in the cloud, which we didn't have a choice if we wanted the logs, then it's for you. I'm not going to put most of my logs out in the cloud. Just not going to happen. Oh, wow. So Ubiquiti is officially saying that, wow. So there's something else. They should probably release Debian packages to install that, Stuart. I think that that's another misstep, not letting people build. And, you know, unless they're actually going to start providing paid support or some sort of assurance, I don't know. I'm not sure what the model is going over there. So somebody's asking about PF SenseBox or the USG Pro. Don't do it. Don't do it, Zach. Don't do it! If you are used to the features of PF Sense, do not put a USG Pro in. We can't even get multiple WAN IP addresses yet. That's something that I'm still going to harp on until it happens. But what I got here, I bought this out of my own pocket. This is a... hey, SatVision. This is a Netgate piece of hardware. Bought this out of my own pocket. They did not send this to me. I thought it was time to add a dedicated piece of actual Netgate hardware. I respect what they're doing over there. So this is the smallest one because I'm cheap sometimes when it comes to adding my lab gear. Now you can get a wall mount for this, and you can also get a DIN rail mount. But this is the smallest appliance they sell, and I don't know if you can see how tiny this thing is. But here's an iPod Touch in an OtterBox, and that's how small this thing is. It is tiny. I love it. I love it. So this guy is going in the lab. We'll do a setup video on it. That'll be coming this soon. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be happening like tomorrow, but PF Sense getting added to the stable full time. You know, I started the PF Sense videos. I started them. They were in a VM. I'm not happy with that setup, so we're going to go with an appliance. Let's see. Is that a heat gun on the shelf behind you? If so, what is the temp on the AP or an ERX if running one? Man, you guys have got good eyesight. Yes, this is a heat gun. I don't know if I can hit the... I don't know what that's going to look like on the video. But just so you know, the phone there is running at a cool 96 degrees. But let's see. So I've got this Grandstream phone behind me. I pointed at the phone. The phone's running at 85. Now, there is an ERX up here. You did notice the ERX. So the ERX, if I just pointed at the top of the ERX, I can tell you to the touch, the ERX is not cool. It says 86. Let me point it at the front. Let me point it in one of the ports. Let's see, point it at the bottom. Okay, so the bottom of the ERX, where the ERX is touching the ER4, is 93 degrees. And then the HD access point in the center of it is 82 degrees. Now, when I hit the wall is 69 degrees. So the wall is at 69 degrees. That wall is the actual exterior wall. And you guys have got a good view of my of my posterior there. Sorry about that. Let's see. So yeah, if you got any other questions about how hot things are getting. If not UBNT routers, what firewall router would you use for businesses? Well, Chris, there are a lot of different firewalls, a lot of different firewall manufacturers. I think for me, if I'm going to hand it over to the client, right? So if I'm going to hand it over to the client and they want something that's a little bit more robust, I could look at like an OPN sense or open sense. The thing is, when I hand something to a client, I want it to be easy to use, right? I want it to be simple, right? Because I might have to do phone support on that, or where I can't get into it, or the client may want to play themselves. And while I think pfSense is great, I think the menuing is horrible, and so I would never throw that at a customer, at least not without training. And how many of your customers want to pay you, 2-3 hours to train them on a product just to understand the menu? I'm not saying it would take that long. But, all right, I'm going to build a 10G capable pfSense Super Micro. Yeah, you might want to be careful about Super Micro if you haven't watched the news. By the way, if you were into buying stock, yesterday would have been the day to buy Super Micro stock. The stock fell 50%. Company lost 50% of its value overnight because of this story that came out about the chips that got planted. That allowed the Chinese to get into all of these servers remotely. So let's see what their stock is sitting at right now. Supermicro stock is still at $12.40 a share, down 20 cents. I don't know if that's in after hours. No. So it says that in after hours trading it was up almost a half a penny. But before this happened, the stock had reached a 52-week high of $27.14. It was down to $10.80. Had I been on the ball, I should have bought $500 worth of stock at $10 a share. But the company was worth, I don't know how this, but like over $1 billion until this all happened. So crazy stuff. By the way, I'm thinking about buying some SurveyMonkey stock. I don't have a lot of money to put into the stock market, but I've got a few fixed assets that I could sell to get the money to put into the stock market. And I thought about buying SurveyMonkey stock, but then I started reading everything that they're talking about, how debt heavy they are and how their expenses keep going up and about how they're not innovating. And so I'm going to kind of hold off on that because I made a mistake of buying Nortel stock years ago when I did have saved up some money to start figuring out how the stock market worked and play it. And I bought a bunch of Nortel stock. I bought it, and then all the shit came out about how they're retirees and everything. And now the stock is worth less than $1, and it would cost me more to sell it. So yeah, so lesson learned on that. But yeah, definitely a mistake, I think, for them to not release the Debian packages for Protect. That is going to keep it out of the hands of people. And when you have a grassroots marketing campaign like Ubiquiti does, you need people to be your advocates. So let's talk about this. Robert has created a tribe over at Ubiquiti, and Ubiquiti doesn't appeal to everybody, and it doesn't have to. But the tribe that Robert has built at Ubiquiti is used to things working a certain way. It's this grassroots efforts where you can go out, you can talk to the developers, you can talk to engineers. You have people like me, you have other YouTubers like Chris, you have Tom, where we love this enough and we like people to use it enough that we create videos to show you how to do that. When you then keep a product back, I can't be a cheerleader for that product because I'm not going to buy a Cloud Key Plus to show you Protect. If they want to send me one, that's great. So if David Stahl happens to be watching, or any of the other Ubiquiti folks happens to be watching right now, if you want to send me one of those, which I would gladly take it, I would create videos on it. But that product, if I could load it on my own server, we'd have videos on it already. Now that I see people are interested in it, but I'm not going to buy one just to do videos on it. Let's see. I recently installed several ER8s for a school district. We had major overheating issues when hardware acceleration was left enabled. Have you had any deployments where edge routers overheated? I did, Gary, but it was because of the condition, excuse me, of the room that led to it. And in this particular room, we actually melded the feet off of a Cisco ASA. So that was when MFi was still supported. So we put together an MFi installation that would automatically turn on a fan on a shelf and cool the equipment on an adjacent shelf if we hit a certain ambient temperature in the room, so that we wouldn't catch any more equipment on fire. It worked beautifully, but now MFi's end of life, and so I'm actually looking at some other manufacturers for IoT stuff. I hope to do some videos on that. Let's see here. Yeah, Chris, Untangle is good. I used to run Untangle before they got super duper popular and had all the different packages available and stuff like that. We used to build our own Untangle boxes for, wasn't necessarily for UTM, but it was for content filtering at public Wi-Fi hotspots. But now it's actually more cost effective for us to pay $5 a month based on our usage for DNSfilter.com than it is to put that hardware in and then have to replace it every 5 years. Let's see. Oh, Nevin, you skipped my question here again. Have you ever used CCTV cameras? Would you recommend them instead of IP cameras? So I have touched a CCTV system. I've never installed it. I've never configured it. In 2018, unless I was to get involved in a project, which is probably outside of my wheelhouse, because the client's probably just going to be just a huge, ginormous, just monstrous client, and I would have to bring other people in. Unless we get into a project like that where there are CCTV cameras that have specific functions and features, and I know they still sell the shit out of these things, I am going to be recommending IP cameras. Ethernet's cheap. IP cameras are inexpensive. CCTV, if we've got to run coax and stuff like that, I'm sure it's inexpensive. All the kits that I see have predetermined lengths of cable. That wouldn't work for me, but then I'd have to get into terminating coax, and that's not something that I do on a regular basis. I'm not really super interested in learning, to be honest with you, how to terminate coax. That's not something at this point in my career that I want to get into. I'm more interested in buying the tools to terminate fiber. So no, I am going to recommend IP cameras unless it's something specific. And then, like I said, it's outside of my wheelhouse. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I don't pretend like I know everything, because I don't know everything. And I don't apologize for that, because IT is so damn big that you can't know everything. But I got a good solid foundation. I have a good network of people. And so if something like that comes along, I will get that client to someone that can actually help them, because I know I'm not going to be able to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, so Stuart, Ubiquiti has said that UVC is going to get security updates, but no new features. So we'll see how that goes long run. You want to know, am I looking at Home Assistant? Yes, I am looking at Home Assistant. I'm looking at Has.io, and I know that there are some purists on a Discord channel that Tim is on that hate Has.io. So I don't know what kind of a response I would get, but no, I am looking at that. I'm also looking at HomeSeer. Peter asks, hey Willie, what do you recommend for a firewall to work alongside an EdgeMax Pro 8 router? Well, Peter, that's going to depend on the task. What is the edge? Is the edge router just doing pure routing, no firewalling, no NAT? Let me know. SatVision bought my first Edge router this week, and ERX SFP just for fun. Yes, that is an excellent. That's a fantastic little router. You can learn Linux. You can learn routing and networking. It's inexpensive and it's cheap. I just got a text message. Let's see who it was. Oh, youth soccer games are canceled because of field conditions. We have been getting a lot of rain in my area. A lot of rain, and so it doesn't surprise me that there are sports things that are canceled this morning. Yeah, so Zach, I am probably going to do Home Assistant. There are some tutorials out there. I've watched them, but I want to take them and I want to do my own spin on them. If you watch the videos, I try to have a very clean, concise. Now I do say a lot, but I try to have I try to take something complex and break it down so that everybody can follow along. So we may do that. So Peter says the Edge router is working just as a router. Peter, let's talk about putting if you don't want UTM. And Tom and I talked about this the other day when we were on the phone about UTMs and are they a good thing and everything. It all depends. It goes back to it depends on the client's needs at this point. But if you need a firewall, look at putting another Edge router in. If you just need basic firewalling, if you want some more advanced features, let's talk about putting maybe a pfSense box in. Let's talk about putting a Palo Alto in. Let's talk about putting a Grandstream in. Grandstream just released a new firmware. Oh, it's just funny, so we can talk about the differences between companies too. I was talking to my Grandstream handler, and they actually want me to do beta videos as long as I disclose that it's beta. So that's interesting, and they just put out a new firmware for their router, and they added a ton of stuff. So we're going to be doing some Grandstream router videos here in the very near future. Also, we're going to circle back to Synology, and we're going to have a smorgasbord of router videos here pretty soon. The weather's getting colder, which is going to allow me to spend some more time filming videos. So I'm looking forward to that. Yep. So Stuart, I'm debating on whether to run Home Assistant on a Raspberry Pi or to run it on my Synology or to run it on a dedicated piece of x86 based hardware. I would like the Raspberry Pi, but you got to make sure that you got good clean power to that, and you got to make sure that we got everything set up so that we don't corrupt our SD card image. That's the only thing that ever worries me about Raspberry Pi in production. So yeah, Stuart, I've thought about Docker too. A lot of people fear Docker. Don't fear the Docker. A lot of those same people that fear Docker feared VMware. They feared virtualization of entire servers. Don't fear Docker. Just go out. Docker's got awesome documentation. Go out, check it out, learn a little bit about Docker. In the future, it should help to lead apps to be portable across any version of Linux. So let's see. I watch a lot of your videos. I upgraded a school's Unify AP to Pro, including installing the in-wall AP and mesh. Most of it worked, and after the most stable release, I don't get disconnects. That's fantastic, Zero. Yes, Little Ben, I am into Doctor Who. Mostly the older stuff after it was revived a few years ago. Let's see. Hey, John. So that's why you're growing a beard now for the winter that is coming. Yes, I'm growing a beard for the cold weather. Depending on which wives' tales you watch and believe in, we're supposed to have a hell of a winter. But I actually, I like to do No Shave November, but I grow facial hair like a 7-year-old boy. So I actually call this Jumpstart July. I actually started growing it in July so that in November I look like, I'm not ostracized for having furry little patches all over. So yeah, John, so the next live stream will be from the garage, so we can talk about all the things going on in the workshop out there. Let's see. Hey, future video. So if you've got any more questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll start talking about some of the other things. Um, I know that a lot of people have watched Jordan Peterson, and I don't want to attract too much attention to him. He's a psychologist, and I'm sure he's a fantastically smart guy. But I watched a video on him yesterday where he said that if you don't know how to code, you're going to be left behind. And I think that that is FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I think it's BS. And let me tell you why. Because everything that we do, hey, Nils, no, there's actually very little wire behind me, and it is actually 10 times cleaner than it was, so it's going to stay the way it is. I appreciate you speaking up. So, and Nils' comment doesn't even upset me. It used to be if I got a comment like what Nils just put out there, I'd get upset. It'd ruin my day. I've learned, being on social media and being on YouTube, that I'm just going to say stuff, and unless it's completely effed up, I'm going to do things. I'm going to post pictures. Some of this stuff, I can just drop the mic and I can walk away. You've got to do that. Otherwise, all of the stuff, people like the Nils, and then I do like how he said not better myself, sadly. But there are a lot of armchair experts. If you go out and you read the YouTube videos, if you read stuff that is posted on my social media, it's not just me, it's every YouTuber. Everybody out there is a bigger expert than we are, but they don't create videos. They don't do blogging. They don't do anything, right? So at some point, I just had to learn to just walk away from that shit. Because otherwise it ruins your day. But now, I just told you earlier that I still got this mental hang up about the garage video, and I'm just going to get over it, and I'm going to post it, and if people don't like it or they want to talk about, oh, you shouldn't hang this on the wall of your garage, and you shouldn't set this there, I'm just going to ignore those comments. And so far, I've only had to block, I think I've blocked 4 people from my YouTube completely. And if I have to block people because they're just being assholes, I'll do that. But yeah, so anyway, back to the Jordan Peterson thing and about if you don't learn coding, I think it's BS. So we have a huge shortage of the skilled trades, and my son is a sophomore in high school, so him and I have this. He wants to learn IT, but I also told him you don't need to go get an associate's, you don't need to go get a master's. If you learn a skill and you understand language, and where we're at, the English language, oh man, if he learned another language and a skill, so if he learned fluent Spanish and the dialect that's needed here, and he was an electrician, holy cow, he could write his own paycheck, right? Because we don't have as many people going into the skilled trades, and we need that. So once those numbers start dwindling because of all the regulation that says you've got to follow all these rules, you can't just have some ding dong go wire a brand new business. It's never going to pass inspection. So you got to have people that understand the skilled trades, and plumbers and carpenters and electricians and all of these skilled trades. Those people are going to be able to write their own paychecks soon, because a lot of people are going to have moved past this. And I actually watched a video from, I don't even know, I was looking for some electrical training because I wanted to understand something that my electrician told me. And this guy had a video that said that where they're at, that there's an electrician who can charge $400 an hour because there's very few electricians and fewer electricians that are really good at what they do. So this guy can charge $400 an hour. That's lawyer rates, and higher. And I think that that's probably where we're heading. And he said that there are literally electricians that make an awesome living driving around changing light bulbs for people because people don't know how to change a damn light bulb. I mean, I don't know what we're coming to, but we definitely need people who are in the skilled trades. We're going to have that. So I have to call BS on Jordan Peterson for that. Yes, Stuart, this channel is for people that get stuff done, not for making things pretty. Yes, I like that. Yeah, so Sean and I have become pretty good friends. I would think we've never met in real life, but we antagonize each other on the internet. Yeah, and so the world is full of dirty server rooms. The world is full of messed up cabling, and I like to fix those things, but maybe clients don't. And the world is full of people with dirty hands. America was built with dirty hands, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do you think Ubiquiti NanoBeam AC Gen 2s are reliable enough for voice over IP? So, Ron, depending on who you're talking to, they're going to tell you that voice over IP over standard Wi-Fi and the we're going to lump even running the Ubiquiti protocols on them. We're going to lump that into standard Wi-Fi because standard Wi-Fi is a half duplex communication, meaning you can't send and receive at the same time. So you're going to have to test that. Let's see here. Do you have a video about USG Pro 4 and multiple VLANs? So I have a Unify video about that, and a standard USG Pro, there's literally no difference besides the hardware at this point, or there's very little difference because Ubiquiti has done nothing about developing the software to really give us much difference in Unify. Yeah, Zach. So I was just talking to right before this live stream a client of mine in Wisconsin, and Foxconn is moving into Wisconsin, and Foxconn now has contractors from every county in Wisconsin doing things for them. They've created this artificial bubble up in Wisconsin for labor. There's labor shortages. He's telling me like it takes him 6 months to get stuff done. It's crazy. So. Let's see. Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm not going to hire the kid down the street. So some lady may hire, or some guy may hire the kid down the street to do some light computer work. I'm not going to hire the kid down the street to hang drywall unless I know that that's what he does, right? I'm not going to pay him to do electrical work in my house. You know, these are things that are important and need to be done properly. There's a saying. And it's not true just in IT, it's true in every trade, that if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. Because then you're going to have to call a professional. And I will tell you, I run into this all the time in my line of work where somebody had some company that's charging 20 or 30 bucks an hour, 40 bucks an hour, and that's fine. Come in, they do shit work, and then I don't bend my rates. My rates are 120 bucks an hour, and I'm sorry that you thought you were going to save a bunch of money hiring somebody at 20, 30 bucks an hour to do this. They did shit work. It's messed up, and now I'm coming in and charging you 120 bucks. I'm not going to lower my rates. You should have hired, you know, and I will tell you, I've actually bid against people, lost the bid because of my hourly rate. Things have gotten messed up. The company calls me, and I could be opportunistic and raise my rate. I'm not going to do that either. But I've gone back and I've fixed things that I originally bid on and lost. It's happened at least 3 times in the recent past. So, you know, keep using, you know, you know, and I don't know. There's a thing about IT. Back a couple years ago when I was looking at the numbers in IT, we were at 2% unemployment in the IT sector. Now the numbers say that at 4% unemployment, that all people with a skill set are employed. So if you look at that, then that means you got 2% of people in IT that have no business being in IT. Whether it's they've got bad customer service, they've got a bad skill set, they just don't understand the world. You know, maybe they should be flipping rocks or something else. So I mean, there's all kinds of people in IT that maybe they shouldn't be here. I don't know. It's very difficult for me to say that because I have faith in humanity. I have faith in people, right? So things have got to get very messed up for me to come to that conclusion. All right, let's see. Hey, Reginald. Let's see. I got my Grandstream GDS 3710 set up. Do you like yours? Stuart, I love the Grandstream door station. I did get approval to film video from a location where we have 3 of those. So at some point that will be coming. Grandstream, I'm hoping that they're going to be sending me one of those. Willie, what model is that shelving unit on stage left? So this shelving unit is just a plastic shelving unit. I bought it at Home Depot. I refused to shop at Lowe's because Lowe's outsourced their IT, a large portion of their IT department. And so since they've done that, I've not spent 1 penny at Lowe's. I will never spend another penny at Lowe's if I can avoid it. So Home Depot or Menards is where I get my shelving and things like that. I like Home Depot and Menards both right now until one of them pulls one of those dirty jokes. That's where I'm going to be buying it. I believe this is HDX, um, something like that. Um, so I would have to. I've got one more. I buy shelving like it's going out of style. I have to. I like to be organized. You couldn't tell it from my desk and my wires over here, but I do have shelving with things on them. So um, let's see here. Yeah, Kevin says, Willie, I charge $200 an hour. Am I greedy? Kevin, you are not greedy. I could raise my rates right now. I could literally raise my rates right now to probably higher than $200 an hour, and people would still hire me. I do not believe that you're greedy. I believe that you are charging what the market will bear. I don't believe it has anything to do with greed. I think at $200 an hour, you're getting a different clientele. You know, and I mean, so right now I could start marketing my services to celebrities only, and I've got a couple ends in that industry where I might be able to do that. I could start marketing towards that only, and I could probably charge $400 an hour to do networking for celebrities only, and I could probably make a very nice career out of that. That's not where I'm at. So no, Kevin, I do not believe you're greedy. And Zach, I would. I would like to get into monthly retainer in some of those settings, but I haven't done it yet. So we'll have to see. Yeah, I haven't quite gotten into that yet. I'm kind of developing that. Havoc says working in IT is like being in a relationship. When things go well, you get no thanks or any good word, but when things go wrong, yeah. So there's also a joke in IT. Nothing works. What do we pay you for? And then everything's working. Why do we pay you? You know. So like, yeah, I get it. Do you know if I can bridge VLANs over OpenVPN with the Edge router? I've never tried that, but I don't know why you couldn't send multiple VLANs over an OpenVPN site to site, if that's what you're talking about. I don't. Technically, I don't know if there's any reason. If somebody else knows, you'll have to let me know. Yeah. Sylvester, reach out to me at h5llc.com. We'll talk about your site-to-site USG. So Kevin, so you are charging probably too low for where you're at, right? So I have clients who have like Ford Motor Company, and I could probably charge those customers more because they're but I don't. At some point I will reevaluate, but I will tell you it won't be this year, and I will probably not change my rates for 2019 either. We'll see. I know that my competitors have changed their rates. Excuse me for hearing the water's flushing, but I I won't. I'm not going to change my rates this year or next year. Let's see. Yeah, Sylvester, h5llc.com. Fill out the contact form. Let's see here. Yeah, Kevin, that is true. We it's hilarious because that happens every day. Kevin says there is nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. And man, you see that all the time, especially in IT. I'm just going to string this wire over here, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to run it through a conduit. No, you're not. That's temporary, man. That's going to be there in 10 years. When you retire, that wire is going to be there if you're still using it. Let's see here. Retainer contracts are dangerous and needs a good lawyer to look them over. I agree with that, Havoc, that yeah, you should have some sort of representation looking over there. So if you go to h5llc.com, and you go to my support page where you can buy hours and things like that, I have a very specific list of things, and one of those is that the 2 hours is non-refundable. I ran into an issue where I had some clients that would go. They would buy my minimum amount of hours. I bill in 15-minute increments. So if you buy whatever time you buy from me, it's tracked in 15-minute increments. And so I had some people that would go, and I had to start charging the upfront because I had people filling up my calendar, and I like to spend time with my family when I'm not consulting. And then there would be no-shows, right? So went to the upfront payment. That's working out great. Well, then I had some people who used 15 minutes a time, and then they wanted a refund. Well, I didn't have a no refund policy for that first 2 hours, so I went ahead and refunded it. Well, I'm spending more time and money doing the refunds and all this and other things. So yeah, if you buy your first 2 hours, there's no refund. We'll use the 2 hours somehow, whether it's training or whatever. So Stuart says, random question, do you think business owners would pay for stats on traffic flows for their biz? So Stuart, I would say it depends. I know that I did that mall install, and then they brought in someone whose specialty is shopping areas. Their marketing department went out, and they have a company that came in, and they had to create a new site for the access points and all this, and the captive portal. They don't use the Ubiquity captive portal, and they paid a company to actually, they somehow they hook into this captive portal, and they can tell where people are at in the mall, and they can do like ad-based targeting and location-based targeting. I don't know the stuff behind it. That's not my niche of the wireless. That's something that Tim is actually working on developing, but we're not there yet. So they, yeah, I think that there is a market, and let's talk about data and big data and all that stuff. The data is valuable, and for me, that's the only reason that I could see that SurveyMonkey is actually worth excuse me, anything on the marketplace, right? Like, well, why would we buy shares of this company that they do surveys? Because think about this, right? Unlike, hold on, please. Unlike Amazon and Google and Rackspace and DigitalOcean, you know, where people willingly dump their files. Yeah, they're putting files out there, and so these companies have a lot of access to those files. And you're kidding yourself if you don't think that Google and Amazon and all these companies can actually read your files. They can read your files, right? And the United States government can get a warrant and see your files on the big players. If you think that that's secure, if you think putting your information on somebody else's computer is secure, you need to have some real hard conversations with yourself. Anyway, what we are talking about is... actually, I forgot where I was going with this because I got on my high horse about the cloud. Somebody remind me where we were at. We were talking about this. What was it? Talking about cloud services. If somebody reminds me where we were at, then I will... oh, no, SurveyMonkey, right? So SurveyMonkey, when I set up a questionnaire, I could be asking you questions, right? And you are going to submit willingly. If you take this survey, you are going to put these questions out there. And this may not be stuff that Google or whatever these other services don't even know about you, right? So now you're giving up this voluntary information that's sitting in a survey. The information that SurveyMonkey has access to is different than the information that like Google has access to, right? I could create a form to get your entire backstory or enough to put your backstory together. I mean, the data, the value of the data that SurveyMonkey has could be just hugely invaluable to marketers and governments, and especially to people who want to steal identities. So that, from that point, I can see why SurveyMonkey could be worth a lot of money. But apparently, they've got huge overhead and they're overloaded, and so I won't be buying stock in SurveyMonkey. I also don't know how much battery the Samsung's got left, so for those of you who are joining us, if the stream dies, it's because my Samsung ran out of juice. All right, so Kevin says, location-based Wi-Fi tracking is accurate down to 5 feet. Walmart tracks how much time people spend looking at NBunks, etc., etc. Now, Kevin, are they constantly scanning the air? How are they capturing that? Because the last time I was in Walmart, I like to take pictures of access points and stuff that companies have, and I like to tag them on social media and be like, hey, when you're upgrading your Wi-Fi, let's talk. they may be using features that some of the providers I work with can't provide. But Kevin, how are they? Are they just watching for the phone, like broadcasting? Kevin, fill us in on how Walmart is capturing that if they don't have a public Wi-Fi network. I'm actually really interested in that. Zach says supermarkets to heat tracking on store shelves, for God's sake. I don't know exactly what that is. Kevin says we can actually predict when you, or 90% of you, will buy a habitual product. We are getting better. Well, absolutely. As humans, we love to be stuck in ruts, right? We love the comfort of things being mind-numbing, right? That's our Linus blanket that we hold on to, right? I eat at the same restaurant every Wednesday or every Friday or whatever. I get the same thing for lunch every day. It's easy. I don't have to think about it. I get to tune out, and we're bombarded with all this stuff now. So, and your brain actually likes to make assumptions, which is why if you've ever seen, find shortcuts. If you've ever seen the thing online where they have sentences and they've taken out letters out of the sentences, you still read it normally because your brain has made these connections, is making these shortcuts. I mean, the human machine is absolutely amazing at finding shortcuts. Let's see here. Do you charge for every minute, or do you give easier jobs for free to your existing customers? Is it common to charge for like 30-minute blocks or minute by minute? Nils, I do not charge minute by minute. I charge in 15-minute increments. So what that means is if, let's say you have an hour of time left with me and you need me to do something and it takes me 10 minutes, I'm going to deduct 15 minutes from the time pack. Minute by minute, if I was charging $1,000 an hour, I would probably track it minute by minute. Actually, if I was probably charging $400 an hour, I would charge it minute by minute, because that's $100 every 15 minutes. So that's a little bit easier to track. But at my rate, $2 a minute, no, I'm not going to do that. The administrative overhead, the administrative burden for tracking that way, the juice wouldn't be worth the squeeze. So Kevin says we contract the location services out, but all by Mac. Kevin, but what I don't understand, Kevin, is how they can track us if we're not using their service. Like, are they just literally like scanning the air and they understand that there's a device that's at that end cap? That's what I don't understand. I don't understand that. Or is it by cell service? Like, is it this integrated thing? But I'll tell you that I have US Cellular, and inside my Walmart where I'm at, the service sucks. So I don't think that they've got like a relay or anything in there for me. Let's see here. Bob says, at Ignite last week, and I'm assuming you're talking about Microsoft Ignite, Bob, they asked people to opt into tracking. They put little RFID-like tags on the back of the user's badges tied to an AP-like device everywhere, 7 feet off the ground. Yeah, and Kevin... Kevin, sound out on this, but I thought at once upon a time, before Amazon did it, Walmart was actually working on a project, and I believe it was based on RFID, where you would load your card up, and by the time you got to the checkout station, Walmart already knew what you had in your store, or in your cart, and what you were going to purchase, and could already have a total and things like that. Kevin, please, if you know that, let me know. But I believe that before Amazon announced their store where this happens with the Amazon app, that Walmart was like already on the heels of this. Stuart, what are traffic on rods? I'm building object detection model for this purpose and thought about roads. So you're talking about like physical objects, Stuart? Stuart. Are you talking about like physical things, like you're like detecting like objects? Okay, so Kevin says, yes, you must be on the free Wi-Fi. I'll have to check. I got to go grocery shopping this afternoon. So I'm going to have to check and see. I didn't notice a free Walmart Wi-Fi at my local Walmart, so I'll check that out. But I've also got to go to Kroger because if they got pork shoulder on sale, I got to get pork shoulder. I believe Kismet with multiple Wi-Fi access points can triangulate a non-associated MAC. Oh man, that would be an awesome video. Alan St. John, if you can reach out to me, I would love to know more about that, and I would love to be able to give everybody here a demo of being able to track people. Alan, please reach out to me on that. So, RFID has been toyed with for years, but it doesn't work very well. Amazon's solution is much better. Kevin, without breaking an NDA or anything else, can you tell us how Amazon knows what's in your cart? I'm assuming that there's cameras. There's If you can tell us how the Amazon solution works without breaking any sort of laws or anything like that, I'd love to know that too. Yeah, Kevin, I usually don't join public Wi-Fi, and if I do, I fire up a VPN. I mean, we monetize ourselves. I mean, and we know it. We know it. People want to complain about it. But another thing that kills me is I don't know. Occasionally I love to have a sip of whiskey and talk about tinfoil hat stuff. Love it. Amazon is all image based, which makes sense based on their facial stuff that they're getting heat over for selling to the cops. That makes sense. And if you haven't heard about that, Amazon has very powerful AI cloud based facial detection. Um, so yeah, and the stockholders turned the heat up. They were selling it to Miami-Dade police, and they were in this huge project. So yeah, that's the thing. IT is it's huge, man. It's huge. There are people that's all they do is figure out how to get your face recognized. Um, and so hopefully if you're on the back of a milk carton, Amazon will be able to find you in a crowd. But yeah, so yeah, Meraki, I'm sure they provide location services, but you're gonna have to take out a mortgage to pay for it. So Stewart says he is detecting vehicles and want to determine cars versus SUVs versus trucks. So Stewart, I do believe that like county governments, townships, and stuff like that, I think that could be valuable data based on okay how we maintain our infrastructure. So I think you might be onto something, and I think you just got to come up with the right pitch for that. Now it's funny that Stewart talks about that because MIT actually has. If you haven't seen it, go out and Google it. MIT is actually using the 2.4. It's either the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz, maybe a combination of both. They can actually see through walls and detect people now. So take that with all the other scary stuff that's happening. And somebody said drywall. There's now a robot that I just saw a video of that can grab drywall and hang it, and use the screw gun to do it. So take all this AI, like the AI that knew it was talking to an AI, built its own language, encrypted it so humans couldn't understand what was going on. It was either Facebook or Google. Google has an AI that can navigate the London Tube, right? And right now, we are all building the AI. If you watch the Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, or listen to it, Elon Musk talks about how all of this information we are giving up is building the AI, and he's absolutely correct. All of these things we are feeding into the cloud are making these services, is making that much easier, and it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, what else is going on here? Clear isn't when you should buy stock. They will have all tracked us. And yeah, I mean, my boss in my day job, she retired, but she didn't have a Facebook page. She didn't have a LinkedIn. And so if you actually searched her name, the only thing that would come up were the minutes where she was at public meetings, because that's all, public information. And she is one of the very few people that I knew that had the smallest digital footprint ever. And she worked very diligently to maintain that. But she had a cell phone, so she knew that her cell phone tracked her. I'll never forget the first day that I turned on my phone and my phone told me, and I'd never turned the setting on or whatever, but it told me 21 minutes to home. I was like, whoa, this is not good. But now I can use it as a barometer to how slow or fast I can drive to get places, or I can use it if I want to go to my favorite restaurant, and I can look. Google provides that nice graph that says this is when it's busy, and it can almost do it in real time. It's for me, it's a very simple need. Like, when do I want to go eat? But that's one of those things, one of the things of the pyramid we got to have, right? Food. So, It helps me get to my nom noms quicker. Let's see here. Clear the service. Ballparks and airports, they will soon be. Oh, clear the service. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure, Zach. Google does this stuff too. All right, so we've come to a point where there's not a lot of yeah. So Bob Carpenter, Bob is a friend of mine from up north. He says it was creepy when he got his first time to leave now for your appointment. Yeah, it's you know, and now they want the Google Assistant to, you know, they want Google to tell you that it's the Google Assistant calling you if you ever watch those videos. And there's all kinds of controversy surrounding the Google Assistant and were those calls real or were they doctored? I personally think that those calls were absolutely real. And I think that Google is under such pressure from multiple people or organizations that they've had to backpedal and make this look good because you know that Google AI in that video you could not tell. I mean when they insert these things that act like you know when we're human, you know it is very scary. You would know if I was a robot because I'd have a glitch and probably have to reboot 20 times during this live stream. Um, Kevin says, I knew Google was over scraping location data when their real-time traffic data was down to 100-yard resolution. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Google, I mean, these companies have got it figured out, man, and they employ some of the smartest people in the world that understand how this all fits together. It's amazing. But, yeah, so LPR cameras, they're a special use case, too. But, you know, DC Boogie, yes, go to h5llc.com. DC Boogie, I'll put the link down here. It's h5llc.com. h5llc.com. Reach out to me. Yeah, Havoc, I have a lot of issues with the Windows 10 updates that's deleting data. Have a lot of issues with Windows 10 updates. You know, Microsoft is doing things like they just let us know that on, well, we knew it was coming. But we haven't, I just got the actual official notice from the state of Illinois that all of the volume license prices have now gone up 10%, right? So this is what Microsoft is trying to do. And whether you actually know it because you don't hear it, Amazon's Azure, I believe that they are actually more profitable and larger than AWS. I believe that Microsoft is the #1 cloud provider. Now, how they quantified that data, that I don't know, but I believe when you look at the stats, they are. If that's not right, I'm sure somebody's going to tell me, and I'll appreciate that. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to get everything cloud-based, right? So instead of selling you Microsoft Office, you know, a license, they're going to try to make it so expensive that you go to Office 365. And I believe that Microsoft doesn't understand the changing landscape of the world in the fact that not everybody's going to have the money to be able to do that. And I believe that if Microsoft keeps this up and other companies keep this up, that, you know, we've always joked about this being the year of the Linux desktop. I think we will actually see more adoption of open Office. I think we will see Google Docs become more popular. I believe that if Microsoft is not careful, that they will cause a shift away from Microsoft services. So we'll just have to see. Yeah, so Jeff, this is a rabbit hole, and I don't have any whiskey, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not going to drink it right now. But you know, Jeff says, how do you know that we're not Sims in an AI? We don't know that. You know, maybe when you pinch yourself, yeah, it hurts, but maybe it's programmed to hurt. You can't even think about that. That's actually a depressing thought, you know. But yeah, so it's yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Do you have Mike? I'm not sure, Deer Hunter, what that means. Bob says, Willie, with all of the 1809, I lost my files debacle, maybe a good time to have a review your backup strategy for all devices video. Not a bad Not a bad idea, Bob. Maybe I can see if I can throw something together for that. Yeah. And so, yeah, and Apple's locking. Yeah. So I'm a huge advocate of being able to repair your own devices, right? I mean, you spent your money on this device. You should be able to repair it. And I believe, here's what I believe. I believe that the legislators who vote against us, they are in the pocket of the corporations, and they don't give a shit about us. They really don't. They don't care about us. What they care is about keeping their bank accounts fat, about keeping their vacations to tropical places. They care about keeping their gravy train going. I mean, you are talking about a different class of people, and I hate to say that, but the politicians in the United States right now believe that they are better than us. They believe that they are smarter than the citizenry. They think they know what's good for us, and it's yeah. I mean, so the right to repair is a huge issue. We need right to repair. And it started with John Deere of all places. They lock farmers out of these multi-$100,000, pieces of equipment. What kind of BS is that? Now I own a Volkswagen for my daily driver, and I can order software and hardware for about $600. I can tune that car till the cows come home, and I like that. My warranty's not quite up yet, so I'm not gonna do that yet. But we have to have right to repair. Yeah, Stuart. I understand, Stuart, that there are things that are happening that are out of our control. But until the rest of us can get together and band together and remind certain people that they work for the people, not against the people, things aren't going to change. And it takes a lot to coordinate people to get them, in that. Here's another thing we should talk about. I like Amazon. But, Bernie Sanders here in the United States pushed hard, lobbied hard, Amazon to raise their minimum wage to $15 across the board for everybody. But what Amazon did, because Amazon is beholden to the shareholders, at the end of the day, let's not pretend that they don't answer those shareholders. What they did was they took away all kinds of other incentives, bonuses and performance stipends and all this other stuff to get everybody to that $15 an hour. There's give and take. I don't know. We're not going to go too much further into that, but yeah. So Ubiquity sent me this T-shirt as part of. I posted a story on their community about a job that I did, and so they sent me the T-shirt. Yeah, Zach. Yeah, if you get hit with ransomware, you're going to find out that you need to back up. And Synology makes backing up and having multiple revisions of that backup to recover from ransomware. It's one of the things they tout on their webpage, and they absolutely make that. They make it awesome. They make it easy. They make it inexpensive. And so if you need a good backup strategy, reach out to me over at h5llc.com and let's talk about Synology and about how Synology can give you assurance that if you get hit by ransomware, that you can go tell those guys to stick it. Something that I saw the other day is that there's this new email scam. Well, it's not new. It's a new twist on an email scam. And where you will get this phishing email, and it says, we've been watching you basically pleasure yourself through your webcam because we installed this piece of software, and we know which adult websites you go to. And this was actually came from Reddit, and it was on the sysadmin channel, and it was like best phishing attempt ever. Basically, this person phishing is talking to this end user about how they watched them pleasure themselves and all this other stuff, and we've recorded this, and we have all of your email contacts, and now we're going to release this out unless you send X amount of Bitcoin to this wallet. Well, the folks on Reddit went out and looked up the Bitcoin wallet, and people are paying this. People are paying this, and I it's amazing to me. People are paying because, so obviously somebody is doing some stuff in front of their webcam that they believe that people have recorded. And we do know that people can record your webcam without kicking the light on or any notification. We do know that that happens. But you obviously have visited enough porn sites that you're trying to think, oh man, which one did my computer start acting funny after that installed the malware that's watching me pleasure myself in front of the webcam, you know. So I mean, and I mean these people are making money. People are paying it. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Mhm.
And so cyber criminals are making a lot of money off of that kind of stuff. You know. Let's see here. Not sure what James and Patrick are talking about there on the workforce stuff. But DJ Evergreen, I should know in November about the hotel. Trillis asks, "What's your opinion on Unify Protect?" And Trillis, you must have come in a little later. We did talk earlier about Unify Protect. I think it is a misstep for Ubiquiti to not provide the Debian packages for people to install that on their own. So now they are wholly starting to control that ecosystem, which is even more Apple-esque. It started with the hardware packaging, and Robert actually used to work for Apple, was a wireless engineer there, bootstrapped Ubiquiti, and now we're at where we're at. But if they're going to start controlling the ecosystem, their tribe will get smaller as far as that product goes. So we'll have to see how that works out. Jeff says, people get away with shenanigans because there are too many people that let them do it. Standing up for righteous principles is the only way to mitigate Yes, Jeff, I agree. People think, Havoc says, people think that OneDrive, Google Drive, and all the cloud does is protect you from ransomware, but yeah. So Google Drive, OneDrive, all those cloud-based services do not protect you from ransomware. And in fact, depending on how you have it set up, those can actually be ransomed as well. The thing is, the folks who write the ransomware, they're getting smarter and smarter. Used to be that the first piece of ransomware that I saw live in the field went right for the hard drives on the computers, right? Well, now it stays quiet, and some of this stuff looks for network drives first. So you want to hit somebody where it hurts, man. Encrypt their servers first. But the way that Synology works is we can do multiple revisions back of the backup, and we can make those inaccessible to anything besides the Synology system, right? So if it does get encrypted somehow, only that day's backup gets encrypted, and we can fail back to yesterday's backup using multiple revisions. So it makes us very agile. So we really do need to talk about backup strategies. And that's one thing I see a lot of, in all the videos, all of us, we really, we talk about how to do backups and the software that we do backups, but we don't really talk about backup assurance. We don't talk about backup testing. We don't talk about multiple revisions of backups and things like that to really get this protection. So we should do that. I should do a video on that. Now my Synology backup video touches on that, but it doesn't go into this explanation that we're having like this right now to talk about why it's important to do the multiple revisions and things like that. So maybe that could be a whole web show just on its own. Yeah, Havoc. Yeah, people. If you know anything about Kali Linux, go out, check out Kali Linux. Kali Linux actually provides you all of the tools that you need to create a USB dropper. If you don't know what that is, people, they put files on a USB drive, they drop it in a parking lot. Some ding dong picks it up, plugs it into a computer, and they found this in the parking lot. Explain to your end users, this is part of the end user. You have to empathize with your end users. You have to understand your end users. You have to explain to your end users. Do not install a USB drive that you found laying in the parking lot. Do not install that USB drive. Do not plug that in to the computer. Don't do it. But it happens every day. They find this. It's got files on it. They plug it in. It auto runs and connects back to a command and control server, and you're done. You're smoked, right? So and then they can turn your webcam on, all kinds of stuff, so yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Jeff, I appreciate that you broke it down for me. I still don't think I can pronounce it. Chicanery. Chicanery? Is that chicanery? I think I got it. Jordan, I don't know what Unify is doing. All right, Andy says, Willie, have you had problems with IPS and Unify? So I'm going to tell you the truth, man. I don't run IPS or IDS in production on Unify. I still consider that a beta. And I had a site the other day that upgraded to the latest firmware. Had some issues. The first thing I did was disable it. We rebooted. Things came back to normal. So was it IDS, IPS? That I can't tell you for sure. I can just tell you that I don't run it in production yet. I still consider that a beta feature. Yeah, Havoc, Mr. Robot's the best show. Yeah, Mr. Robot. So the guy who, hey Nathan, Nathan is here, and he is the founder and head architect over at NetTool. So everybody say hi to Nathan. Thanks for stopping by, Nathan. So yeah, so Mr. Robot, the research that goes into the show Mr. Robot is actually done with real tools. It's done with real people, real hackers. And so Mr. Robot is scarily close to real life. So if you want to see, things, a lot of shows will make IT people mad because the technical side of it is so inaccurate. With Mr. Robot, it's so accurate that it's a whole different breed of show if you haven't seen it. So, yeah. Let's see here. Do you think the Unify Security Gateway will get a more consumer level update? Not sure what you mean by consumer level update. Yeah. So, yeah, and Nathan goes to DEF CON, and in 1 year, I hope to join him out there in Vegas at DEF CON and Black Hat. But he says the hacks for Mr. Robot are done in real life. By a team from DEF CON. So, yeah, it's legit. Yeah, I would love to get out there. So I won't be at Wispapalooza this year. I am looking for some other conferences local. I have to make a trip to a couple places, but Wispapalooza, I will not be there this year, but next year I plan on being at Wisp America and at Wispapalooza and maybe hopefully Black Hat, which would be absolutely awesome. So, yeah. So I'm trying to convince my boss to buy a pack of NetTools for our field service techs. Jeff Harris. Just so happens that I'm going to be going to one of my clients, and I'm going to be filming a video of how we are using the NetTool in real life, because you see me use it here on the channel, but you haven't seen me use it in real life. So we are going to be doing that.